morning. I feel like these mornings are getting earlier and earlier. It's not even 8 o'clock yet. But I woke up to a whole Twitter feed of people talking about disrupt and dismantle. And what the fuck is this? Oh my god, they're stealing people's land. And not a whole lot of info on it, so I had to go kind of dig and look it up. It's a BET show that there was an episode last night where they were talking about people in Hilton Head, South Carolina, getting their land stolen. And it was kind of difficult to figure out the story because all the people tweeting are basically, they're stealing black people's land. So it was a race thing. Okay, well, how's that? Like, are they stealing at a gunpoint or what? What's going on? So digging a little bit more, I found out, and I don't know, there might be like multiple cases or something, but it sounds like someone's trying to build a golf course, and there are all these black people, some of them own 10, 20, 50 acres, something like that, and so they want to take all this land so they can build a golf course or something else. I don't know the full details. I haven't seen the episode. I don't have TV, let alone BET, so if the episode is not made available online, maybe it'll be on Pirate Bay. I won't be able to get those full details, but I did see some of the details popping up in the Twitter feed. And of course, there was one that said they changed this guy's property tax from $1,000 to $10,000. And I don't know if that's per month or per year. It could be per month, especially if it's a big lot, like 50 acres, I don't know. That's definitely possible. It's also possible it's per year. $10,000 per year isn't a lot when you compare it to homes in, I don't know, Los Angeles. Not even Los Angeles. Los Angeles is probably closer to 20 in some places, maybe Austin. It's still a lot of money. I mean, $10,000 a year is about $800 a month, and that's about what you would pay for renting an apartment, depending on where you are. 1 to 2 bedroom apartment for $800. That's a lot of money. And so, of course, you guys hear me talk all the time about property tax and taxation is theft. So how do you think they stole this land? And I can make a bunch of guesses. There's eminent domain. Oh, it's for the public good. Remember, this is how Trump got a lot of his property to build his casinos, through eminent domain. And it's not just Trump. It happens all the time. There was a big one in Los Angeles where they took this big property through eminent domain, and it ended up being a parking lot for like the next 5 or 10 years. Meanwhile, the owner of the land was left with nothing. So they said that we're going to take it, we have this public works project, we're going to build, whatever it's going to be. And it just sat there with a fence around it, and I don't know if they even ever did anything with it. They probably, knowing the way things work, they probably just, we're going to give up on this project, we couldn't raise the funds for it, so we're just going to sell the land, and they just happen to sell it back to some developer who paid a bribe to some city councilman. That's how that shit goes down. But so these people in South Carolina, there was a big documentary that came out about, and I don't know if this was South Carolina, it might have been like Missouri or Georgia, where there was a similar kind of thing where you have, it wasn't taken over property tax, it was taken over community ownership, and there was something about this land wasn't really specifically owned by any single person. It was owned by a community of people. And because of that, it took only one of those people to sign the contract to say, we're selling this land, and then basically everybody else in the family or everybody else in the community got screwed and had to get off their land, even though they didn't get a penny for it. Because there was community ownership. Community as in communism. Another reason why community ownership isn't always that great. There are so many ways property can be stolen from people. And I'm glad that BET is making this episode to detail how it's done. But one thing I'm not super excited about is that a lot of people are making this a race issue. And I don't want to say there is no racism. I don't want to say, that the people who are building this golf course aren't sitting around saying, yeah, we need to get these damn N-words off of this property so we can build our golf course. For all I know, that's how they said it. But that doesn't matter, because this is not about racism. Theft is theft. Theft is theft. How are you going to fight racism? Right? Can you make a law that says you can't be racist? No, because how do you prove in court that somebody's racist? How do you even know somebody's racist unless they're just overtly saying, racist things? It doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't change much. But there is something that you can change, and if you fight for this change, you'll actually find a lot of allies who will join you in this fight. And that is the fight against crime, the fight against theft. And we have to recognize it for what it is. Theft is a crime. It doesn't matter if it's legal. It doesn't matter if people wrote down a bunch of laws to say we're allowed to take this without your consent. That is theft. And we need to recognize how it's done. It's done with government. How do you steal 50 acres? You walk into an office somewhere with a ski mask on and a gun and say, okay, I'm taking this 50 acres. It's mine now. Ha ha ha. No. You do it with the law. You do whatever you need to do to get the documents to the government that now says you are the owner. And when the original owner says, well, you might have the paperwork, but I'm not getting off, this is my land, how do you think they get removed from their land? With the police, the government. The police that the person who is being removed has paid for with their taxes for the last however long they've been living there. We're paying for our own oppression. And the reason I say don't make this about race is you can get to the streets and you can hold up a sign and you can say, stop racism, stop racism. But what's that going to do? But now if you got to the streets and said, stop taxation, property tax is theft, stop the property tax, stop eminent domain, these are things that you can actually change in the law that prevents people from being able to do this. These are things that you can do that enables people to stop giving money to government, so government will not have the manpower to steal. And yes, I get it. The government's not the recipient of the land. The government's not building the golf course. It's some rich asshole somewhere. Okay, fine. But this rich asshole can't do anything without the government. The government is his weapon that he uses to steal this land. Think about this. Really. I mean, there are so many ways that everyone is getting robbed every day. The government is used as a weapon. How do they throw so many people in jail for cannabis with the government? How do they afford the war on drugs, this $1 trillion war on drugs? Yes, $1 trillion. They've spent over $1 trillion on the war on drugs since the 70s. Might be closer to 1.2, 1.3 trillion. Who's counting? Where do they get all this money? They steal it. They steal it from the people they're locking up. They steal it from them before they're locked up. And you want to talk about racism? How a majority of those people who are locked up over non-violent crimes are black. That looks like racism. But not a single one of those convictions can you look at and say, oh, well, the only reason he's in there is because of racism. No, he's in there because, according to the law, he broke the law. He broke the law. He was in possession of cannabis. Well, that's a clear violation of the law. Stop trying to get rid of racism. Get rid of the stupid fucking laws. Get rid of the excuses that these idiots write down on paper for them to steal. For them to steal your money, your life, your liberty, and your pursuit of happiness. Yes, it might be racially motivated, but you cannot attack the system on racism. You cannot say we're going to get rid of racism and everything's going to be better. You can get rid of the weapons that the racists use against you. And when you go after those weapons, you will have so many allies with so many other people that are victim of these same weapons. And even if a majority of these victims are black, that doesn't matter. It's still the same weapon. It's still the same weapon. Imagine if there's a tank coming through your neighborhood. Does it matter if the driver is white or black? Does that change how you're going to stop this tank? And if the way to stop the tank is to dig a ditch that the tank can't go over, does it matter if the driver is white or black? Does it matter if the driver is racist? No. All that matters is there's a tank that's coming to roll over your house, and you have to treat it like a tank to stop it. You have to know what is the weakness of the tank. You have to know how to stop it. And when we talk about the government taking land, or when we talk about people taking land using the government, we have to understand how is this done and how can we stop it. And yes, you can change the laws. Voting for a particular party isn't going to help. Democrats have been in power of every state and the federal government for some point over the past couple centuries. They're not always in control, but they've been in control, and they've never gotten rid of eminent domain laws. They've never gotten rid of property tax. They've never come along and said, oh, we're going to put a cap on property tax. They've never come along and said, oh, if you're low income and you fall behind on your property tax, we still can't kick you out of your house. Never. Never. They have never done that. The Democrats and the Republicans are all just as bad. They're tyrants who think they own you. They think they own your property. They think they own your labor. Voting Republican isn't going to fix it. Those are the small government people. Those are the people who hate eminent domain. Those are the people who elected Donald Trump, who's a big fan of eminent domain. Those are the people who have been in power a million times and never got rid of the income tax, never got rid of the property tax. The property tax and the income tax are the two biggest thefts from everybody. I don't even care if you're in a lower income. You're paying property tax. If you're renting, you're paying property tax. And all this money the government is taking from you is preventing you from saving your money. They have systems that force you into debt so that you can go to the factories and keep working harder and harder and harder and never pay off your debt, never own any property, never have any savings, never have any wealth of your own. This is the system. Stop thinking that they're going to come around and say, oh yeah, but these taxes are just for the wealthy. No. The wealthy are the ones who control the government. The wealthy are the ones who are collecting your taxes. All they're trying to do is convince you that you need more taxes. You need to pay more taxes. They're not going to pay them. This whole tax the 1%, they're never going to tax the 1%. The 1% is the ones writing the laws. Oh, I've got so much money, I'm just going to write a law so I can pay more taxes. No, they're not sitting around saying that shit. They're sitting around saying, okay, look you guys, I got this idea. We'll tell the 99% that we're going to tax the 1%, but we're going to create a new tax that actually taxes the 99%. And they're going to vote for it because they think they're not going to pay it. That's what they're sitting around saying. Democrats and Republicans both, they're full of shit. They're stealing from you. They're stealing your money. They're stealing your opportunities. They're forcing you into debt. They're stealing your land. And then they're telling you to blame it on racism. Oh, it's not the taxes. It's not the system. We have a wonderful system of government. Our government is so amazing. Our government is so amazing. Oh, it's a beautiful system of American justice. Justice for all. Wave that flag. Oh my God, it's amazing. Oh, but we have a problem with racism. If a racist breaks into your house and the law says you get to shoot him, well, that solves the problem with racism, doesn't it? But if a racist tries to steal your land and the law says, well, they can steal your land, how does that solve racism? And if you have a law saying it's illegal to be racist, and a racist steals your land, what are you going to do? Say, well, yeah, but he was racist. He only stole my land because I'm black. Well, can you really prove that he's racist? I mean, it looks like he's just trying to make some money. And he followed the law to steal your house in a way that the government deems appropriate. So therefore, there's nothing you can do. Get off the racism trip. Yes, it's true. I'm not saying it's not true. But that is not how you beat the system. And I hate to have to say this over and over and repeat it, but we've got to understand, we've got to make this fundamental change, because all of us can be working together for the same goal to stop these crimes. Because realistically, hey, look at me, I'm a white guy. of Jewish descent. So apparently, I'm in the big banker families that are trying to rip everybody off with banks and debt and interest and all this other shit. But that's not me. I want to get rid of that shit. And there are plenty of white people who don't want the government stealing land, whether it's from white people or from black people or from Native Americans. We have to, the race thing is a distraction. I can't say this enough. Yes, there's a lot of racism. Yes, there's a lot of bullshit. Yes, the history of racism with slavery and stealing people, and holding them captive and stealing land. It's all terrible stuff. But we have to understand exactly what is being done and how to stop it. Because at the end of the day, the race part doesn't really matter. That's a distraction. That's a subjective, it's a subjective, irrelevant argument. If somebody breaks into your house, it doesn't matter if they're there to steal your TV or if they're there to steal your couch. It doesn't matter. They broke into your house. They have committed a crime. It doesn't matter what their motivation is. It doesn't matter if they're stealing your TV so that they can buy something new, or they're stealing your TV because they don't like you. It doesn't matter. They're committing a crime against you. You have the right to stop them. And the government has said, when somebody wants to steal your land or somebody wants to steal your money, as long as they use the government to do it, it's okay. But it's not okay. We have to change that. That's the part we have to focus on. Taxation is theft. Like the hat says, I'll see you guys later.